to the words of Swamiji on self expansion. Since Om is a vibration which can take us beyond the confines of our body, self expansion is the goal, and that is what we are reading this evening. Self expansion is the essence of all aspiration. Why do we seek to possess things? Because by acquisition, we imagine we will expand our dominion. Why do we seek to learn more? Because we think by enlarging our knowledge to expand our understanding. And why do we seek ever new experiences? Because we believe that through them we will expand our awareness. When you stretch a lump of dough outward, it becomes not only broader but thinner. Such often is the case when we stretch the mind only outwardly. Reaching out too far, we sacrifice depth in our lives. The self expansion toward which all life aspires is of the spirit. An expansion of sympathy, of love, of the awareness that comes from sensing God's presence everywhere. Now we will affirm this affirmation first in normal voice, then a little slow voice, then whisper, and then mentally. So you can repeat after me. I feel myself in the flowing brooks,
I feel myself in the flowing brooks,
in the flight of birds,
in the flight of birds,
in the raging wind upon the mountains,
in the raging wind upon the mountains,
in the gentle dance of flowers in a breeze,
in the gentle dance of flowers in the breeze,
renouncing my little egoic self.
renouncing my little egoic self.
I expand with my great soul self everywhere.
I expand with my great soul self everywhere.
It's a little long affirmation. Try to just feel the words and imagine and visualize what is it trying to say. Feel that you are in a scenic place surrounded by mountains. You can feel the breeze, flowers, and then you are not limiting yourself to only your bodily identification but feeling one with all. That is what it is trying to say. In spirit and in your consciousness and at a feeling level, try to feel with the breeze, with the mountain, and with the birds. We'll again speak the same affirmation. I'll feel myself in the flowing brooks, in the flight of birds,
In the flight of birds,
in the raging wind upon the mountains,
in the raging wind upon the mountains,
in the gentle dance of flowers in a breeze,
in the gentle dance of flowers,
renouncing my little egoic self.
renouncing my little egoic
I expand with my great soul self everywhere.
expand with my great soul.
Let us whisper it now. I feel myself in the flowing brooks, in the flight of birds, in the raging wind upon the mountains, in the gentle dance of flowers in a breeze, renouncing my little egoic self. I expand with my great soul self everywhere. Let us now deeply gaze at the point between the eyebrows. Just affirm these words mentally. I feel myself in the flowing brooks, in the flight of birds, in the raging wind upon the mountains, in the gentle dance of flowers in a breeze. Renouncing my little egoic self, I expand with my great soul self everywhere. Let us pray mentally now. Beloved Spirit, in all that is, help me in my own nothingness to find myself one with all that is. Let's continue to sit in silence for a few more moments and try to feel this visualization, the feeling of oneness with all that is, which can only happen when we surrender at thy feet. Realize that in our nothingness, we become one with all. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
So, good evening, friends. The mystery of Avatara or divine incarnation. This today's topic is there. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. Bhagavad Gita in the 4th chapter states, as we saw last week, O Bharata, whenever virtue declines and vice predominates, I incarnate on earth, taking visible form. I come to destroy evil and re-establish virtue. What is the mystery of this divine manifestation? Great avatars such as Krishna and Jesus Christ are born as babies, even as we all are. They take human form and go through normal human experiences as they grow from childhood to adulthood. They eat, they play. They may seem to suffer sickness and disappointment like the rest of us. In what way are they different from other human beings? The important thing to understand is that even as they are like us, so are we also like them. Their realization can be ours too. They come on earth to show us our own divine potential. The difference lies not in the manner of their manifestation on earth, but in the consciousness with which they are born. All things are condensations, so to speak, of the cosmic vibration of Om, described by the St. John's Gospel as the Word. Most human beings, however, are unconscious of their divine origin. The avatars, on the other hand, come consciously as manifestation of the divine reality. As the Gospel says in the 1st chapter, and the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. So, friends, Om is a most powerful vibration, as we know, all of us. So God has created this manifestation out of the power of Om. We all look different. So we see trees, birds, human beings, stones, gases, but everything is made of light with the power of Om. The master also tells us in Samadhi poem that we are already one in the divine light. But we have to realize that truth. The more we meditate and more we go deeper through meditation, out of the senses, through intuition, we realize that truth. So I just want to share 2 small experiences just for the power of Om. So I was reading Deviji's and Jyotishan Deviji's book, The Touch of Peace. So there Deviji writes, there was a small fire which broke out near Ananda village in 2004. Before the fire broke out in 1976, which has burned a lot of homes, but it was in 2004 again. The fire broke out near Ananda village, but it was downhill. It was very near to Ananda village, but still it was approaching Ananda village. And Deviji and a group of disciples, they started praying. They were just chanting Om, praying for 2 hours. And after 2 hours, suddenly the fireman approaches them, and they told them that the fire which was coming up is now coming, just going down. They have not seen this in their lifetime till date, that how it has happened. It was approaching very fast to Ananda village, and suddenly it stopped and it turned its direction. That was the power of Om. They were just praying and they were just chanting to Lord for the healing. And the second experience I had during my COVID days, I got COVID. I was a lot of breathlessness I had, giddiness I had, and 3 4 days. After 3 4 days, my saturation, my oxygen content was going down. So I was very breathless and I was in urgent. I was thinking now I have to go to the hospital and I have to I have to be on oxygen now. So I was telling Dr. Amar that please take me there because now it is a time from last 4 days my health is deteriorating. Then he said, why you want to go to the bed, you want to lie on the bed and stay on the hospital bed? Then he said, go out and do some kriya, do some deep breathing also. Then I said, okay. So I went out, it was raining, it was full of oxygen, was fresh air was there. So I started meditating and I started doing kriya and I started chanting inside my mind, oh, with a lot of faith in my mind. Because I was also not in this inside, I was not ready to go and get admitted in the hospital. I was know how it was, the COVID wave was there and how the patients were suffering in the hospital. So I have a lot of faith in my mind. I started chanting Om Babaji, and so I was doing Kriya also side by side. And after 30 minutes, suddenly my all symptoms went off. I was not breathless anymore. I was not feeling anything, giddiness. I was totally fine. And after that I was totally fine. I stopped all my medicines and everything was very good with me. So that was the power of Om. That was the power of feeling. But for that you should have a lot of faith in your body, mind and soul. Thank you, friends.
Good evening, friends. Welcome. This is always a joy when we share something of a very deeper meaning when Swamiji has written this book for 52 weeks, and each week we come with a new insight, how to relate to the world around us, how to walk on the spiritual path, and the mystery of avatara or divine incarnation. Just to put it briefly, it's all about seeking our origin from where we have come, because here Swamiji is writing that what is the basic difference between an avatar and a common man, or let us say a human being. They also come in this world with a, just like how the babies come in this world. They take a human birth, whether you see of stories of Rama or Krishna or Christ, any great avatar or Lahadi Mahashaya or Swami Shri Yukteswar, they came in this world as like us, as babies. And Swami is saying that it's not in the manner of the manifestation that is different. What the point of difference here between a normal human being and an avatar? But it is the consciousness with which we are born. That is what is the deciding factor. And what is the difference? Again, then he elaborates that it is that a saint or an avatar is always conscious of his divine origin, whereas a common man forgets. He just continues to see himself as a body, as a mind, and he feels, okay, that is what it is. At one point, Yogananda actually said, if you close your eyes, he said, you don't see your body, you don't see people around you, you don't see the house in which you are living, but you still know that you exist. How do you know that you exist? Although you're not seeing yourself. Because he said, there is an invisible you. There is a visible man, and then there is an invisible man. And if this invisible man goes away, the visible cannot exist. And so what is important? He said it is the invisible which is actually more important than the visible manifestation. But all our lives, we just get, trapped, we may say, into the visible reality. And That is how when we meet people or we see things, we just see the visible reality, forgetting that it is actually the invisible which is the ruling the universe. It is the essence behind all the visible portion that we are able to see. And the more focus we develop or practice in our lives to remain in contact with this invisible man, you will see that the visible will start reciprocating or resonating in the same manner. And how does that happen? Because everything, since it is coming from, as Mansi ji was talking from this book, that everything came from the word, and word was the initial vibration from which everything came, and word became the flesh. So if you see every matter reality, whether, and Swami was talking in that affirmation, that whether the birds and the brooks, mountains and breezes, they're all coming from that vibrational aspect of Om. So when we remain in contact with our own invisible reality, with our own vibrational quality, we will see that it has its influence on the outer reality also. Recently, we had some guests in our house, and this lady, when she came, just a few moments later, when she entered the house, she said, "यहाँ बहुत शांति है." Although people, those who have visited our house, it is actually sandwiched between two highways, and there is a lot of. She said, but the traffic noise is not there, not much here. Despite the traffic, there is peace. Why? Maybe she was very sensitive and she could feel the underlying vibration of peace when you come here. If you see, the vibrations are different in this part of the flat, in this part of the temple, as compared to if you sit on that corner, vibrations are slightly different. If you go into the store area, the vibrations are still different. If you go and sit in the lounge, they are different. And if you go maybe one floor below, they are they are entirely different. So if you see, everything is vibrational, and as we gain that sensitivity to tune in to the vibration, you can actually feel how it is affecting us. So what we are going to talk this evening is that in theory it is fine. We understand, okay, we came from the vibrations, we came from the Om, and that is what is our true reality. But how can we practice in our daily life? So there are just 3 points I'm going to talk about. The first thing, if you see, is to become silent. Because there is a lot of noise that goes on in our minds. And because of that noise, we are not able to feel the vibrations which are around us. And how that silence, if you just keep a watch on your mental thoughts, and here I'm talking more about the inner silence as compared to the outer. Although the outer silence will certainly help us to some extent, but inner is more important. And what is this inner silence? That just observe your thoughts for maybe one day or maybe 1 week. You will see that there is always a constant stream of thoughts which keeps bombarding our minds. And if you keep a watch or maybe keep a diary, you will see that 70 to 80% of thoughts are actually repetitive. They are of the same nature or same theme, more or less, and they just keep coming again and again and again, with only 10 to 20, 30% different variety you may have. What does that mean? Because there is some, as Swami used to say, that each one of us has its own specific gravity. Now, thoughts also have vibrations, and since our consciousness also has a vibration, so these thoughts, which are coming or whirling around us, I should say, are resonating with the same vibration that we are emitting. And as a result, they don't allow us to rest. A very great saint at one time, I think it was Shri Aurobindo, he said, when I became silent, and he said I had to work hard to make my mind silent. It wasn't easy. But when I did that, he said, I realized that before attaining this silence, I was actually a laborer in a thought factory. That is how he put it. It was a very interesting way that how thoughts can actually victimize us. It can actually torment us. And there comes a point when we start realizing that it is my own mind which is tiring me. I don't I don't need any other task to tire myself. It is my own thoughts which is sapping my energy. I think we have often repeated the story of Swami Kriyananda where he had a dream where he said with some of us we were there in this abandoned building where every day when we used to wake up in the morning there used to be a lot of beating and these people were there, these burly men, and they were all beating us, and throughout the day we were getting this as a punishment. And our day actually started with the beating, he said, and day and night we were just getting victimized, and there was no respite, one day after the other, and the same routine. So one fine day he said, and this is all a dream. So he said, some of us thought that, okay, we should find a solution. Maybe we should run away from this place because how long this is going to continue? And so one fine day they said, okay, tomorrow morning, just before dawn, when these guys are going to come up, we'll just beat them and run away. And that is what they did. They just beat them up, ran away. And when they were coming down, they realized that the whole building was empty. They were on the top floor and the whole building was empty. They just ran because they were running for their lives. And when they ran, they saw that this building was just a sole structure in a big meadow. And they just left the building and they continued to run. And after running for quite a few, maybe a mile, they said, okay, let us turn back and see what is happening there. And they realized that nobody was following them. And then when they turned back, they realized that the people, those who were left behind, the same routine, they were going through the same drill of beating and all that. And after that, he just woke up and he realized that it was a dream. But what was the meaning of this dream? The meaning was that this tall building actually is our own mind, because it is on the top floor. If you see, let us say if it is our own body and top floor is the mind, this beating is happening in our own mind and we are getting victimized by our own thoughts. And if you want to continue, that's it. Keep going. One moment to another, one day after the other, year after year, or maybe incarnation after incarnation. But you will have to make a choice. You will have to decide how long this is going to go. And I'm going to put an end to it. And how do you put an end to it? By choosing silence. Because when you choose silence, nothing can victimize you. Because every suffering, if you see, begins with a thought. Whether it is a physical suffering, oh, I'm feeling very warm, or I'm feeling very cold, or somebody did not treat me well, or somebody didn't give me my due, or I lost something. If you see, it begins with a thought. It has to, because thought is the blueprint. So if there is absolute silence, how can there be any suffering? But then the question arises that if we become so silent, won't it become very boring? And how the life will continue? But the magic is that, again I'm quoting from Shri Aurobindo, he said, the purpose of life is not to gain perfection, but to become a perfect instrument of the divine. Now just look at it. He just put it in one sentence, absolutely clear. And often we waste a lot of time in gaining perfection in the outer world. Oh, I should become a good doctor or engineer or an actor or whatever it is, there is nothing wrong. Swami said that we must give our best whatever we can. Our work should never be sloppy. We have to give our best, because that prepares, that gives us the willpower to gain the finer victories or bigger victories in life. But at the same time, that is not the goal. Even if we attain that outer perfection to whatever degree, that is not the goal. What is the goal is, are we doing the divine will? Are we becoming the perfect instrument of the divine? Because in that moment, when we become a perfect instrument, everything will happen naturally. It will be harmonious, it will be natural, it will be effortless. And at one point, Yogananda actually mentioned that when all the effort ends into effortlessness. Now, attaining perfection in the outer world may seem that it is very, effort bound, and you have to work very laboriously, and so all that effort is fine. But if the goal is, Yogananda said, to be effortless, when you attain that effortlessness, and certainly we will have to make an effort to go to that extent, but the flag which should be raised high in our mind is that it is not this task that I am doing which is important, but it is whether I am tuning in to that higher divine will. Why Swami, before, when he used to start his day, he always used to say, let me do thy will. Please help me to do thy will, Divine Mother. He wasn't looking for any perfection. He wrote 400 pieces of music, maybe 150 books, and one journalist at one time asked him, Sir, what do you think? How will you feel if one fine day you realize all your books are burned down? He said, Oh, I will be the same. I'll feel happy. The same way I'm joyful. I will be very joyful that day also. And it may seem a very odd answer, but the main essence behind this answer is that he was not limited to his outer work. That was not his reality. He wrote the books because he felt inspired to share the wisdom that he received from his master through that channel. Whether the divine will is to protect it or not, it is entirely up to the divine will. He was doing the divine will from one moment to another. And is what that is the second step, because if you see, the first step is to attain mental silence. And if we just remain in that silence, naturally you will start feeling a vacuum. So the second step here is to tune in, and to tune into that reality and ask, what is it that the divine wants to do through you? So that is the second step. What is the third step? That here, if we often, when we tune into that divine reality, there was a devotee in Yogananda's ashram, and Swami said that he, or probably she was a lady, she wasn't meditating much, but Master said that she will find God because she knew how to tune in to Guru's vibrations. He said she has reached there by attunement. Although she wasn't meditating, maybe she meditated in her previous lives, and she was carrying that knack of tuning in. And that is why, if you see, Yogananda was again and again emphasizing, as many as received him, to them he gave the power to become Son of God. So here he was emphasizing that yes, silence. Otherwise, if you see, how will God come into this temple? If the noise in our mind is continuously going, if the cup is not empty, how can it be filled? It is as simple as that. So if we have to invite God, we have to keep it clean, keep it pure, and keep it empty. And then ask Him, that Divine Mother, please come in this temple. Fill me with thy peace. Fill me with thy joy. That is how we were chanting. Fill me with the sound of Om. Because Yogananda said Divine Mother is very shy. He even at one point he said he's like a child. God is like a child. You have to coax him. He even wrote chants about that. Many great saints, even Aurobindo said, it's not about intellect. It's about that heart quality. Just like you, if you invite somebody at home, even if it's either a casual friend or a guest, if it is just a casual invitation, maybe you will think twice before going to such a place. But if you feel that the person is really loving you, then then obviously you feel that, and you would go, or rather the guest will come. The same way, and before the guest comes in our home, we do little cleaning of the house. We make it more inviting, and we make it, in a way that we can receive, because guest is also one of the manifestations of God. So same way, if you see why Yogananda was saying that I killed Yogananda long ago, now nobody lives in this temple but God. Just think about that statement. What he might have done with his body and mind, that he had made his mind absolutely pure and clean, and then invited God to stay there and live there forever. That is why he was saying, nobody is living here now. It's only God who is flowing through me. And that is why I think he wrote that chant, door of my heart, I, I keep open for thee. Come for once, come to me. But for why once? It should be like, stay here and stay here always. So you see, that is the second point. First is be silent, and then second is to invite God, to talk to Him often. And this talk has to be unceasing, because if just once in a while, then probably it will not happen. And the third is equally important, trust the process. Because often we become impatient. Oh, nothing is happening. I have already meditated so long hours. I have done so many kriyas. I go to temple every Sunday. I'm on the path for so many years. Nothing is happening. That means we are not trusting the process. Because from where have we come? Is it not a fact? Even on an intellectual level, we know that we have come from God. Where shall we be going? There is no other way to go. Yogananda, in fact, said that everybody is on spiritual path. There is nowhere to go, he said, when Swami asked him this question. So on mental level, we know, but on feeling level, we have this doubts. Oh, whether it is happening, whether it is not happening. And that is why the question of trust and faith and trust the process. All the saints actually said that have this faith that you are a child of God. Why won't God love you? There is no reason. It is only we that we are not loving Him. And that is why we feel that distance. And somebody asked Swamiji at one time, Swami said, I had a lot of doubts when I came to the path. Not in this lifetime, but in his previous lifetimes, Yogananda told him that you were eaten away with doubts. So it's not that if you are having doubts, please don't feel bad about it. They are part of the process. But then he said, what is the solution? He said, the only solution of doubt is love, is to love God. And with loving God again and again, he realized that there was no doubt. And at the end of his days, he was not able to sometimes talk. Whenever he used to talk, he used to start crying, because so much love was flowing through his heart. So I think these are the 3 pointers, friends, which I felt, because if we are connected with our, how otherwise, why these avatars would come. 5 avatars came in quick succession in the last maybe about 150 years. They didn't come to show us that they were great. They just came us that you are made up of the same substance, the same Om, the same word from where we have come. But you have to make a choice. That is why they say, because many times, when we continue to live habit bound, thoughts are nothing but habit bound. And as a result, they just continue to give us the same results. Uh, in fact, thoughts are so repetitive, as I was talking, and they are of similar nature, that you can actually predict the outcome, that what is going to happen in this person's life journey, maybe 10 years from now or 50 years from now. We know about Bhrigu Samhita. 5,000 years back, it was predicted that so and so person will come as Swami Kriyananda. His mother will be so, his father will be so, his guru will be so. And Swamiji said, how was that possible? Uh, he said that you can even predict the color of tie, what you will wear on a particular day. Because why is it so? Because we have conditioned our thoughts in a way, and that pattern we continue to take from one lifetime to the other and from one moment to another. This is an era of artificial intelligence, and somebody was saying that data analytics is going to that extent that if we study the thoughts of these individuals, even a machine will be able to predict the future of the individual. What to talk of Bhrigu Samhita? Because Bhrigu was much more exceptional than a machine. But why a machine can predict? Because our thoughts are repetitive. We are always conditioned like that. We will always do the same thing. And as a result, it is possible to even predict the kind of diseases we will suffer in the due course of time. Because a particular thought pattern, thought is nothing but energy, thought is also vibration, and body, it will have its impact on the matter, reality. So diseases are nothing but a manifestation of thought. So it won't be a surprise if you see in few years that artificial intelligence is telling you that 10 years from now maybe you may have this chronic disease. And so start working for it now. Start working on it today itself if you want to prevent it. Otherwise, you can take that course. And if we are really conscious, we can change the course of illness. Now, that is the freedom. So, Swami said, okay, the only freedom, he said, that we have in this life is whether to choose God or to reject God. Now, we may not have a freedom to decide what events will happen in our lives, but this freedom we have. If we, do I really want to make my mind silent? Do I really want to invite him? And do I really want to trust the process? This is, in these three matters, we are free. So if we continue to do that, you will see the consciousness at which we are operating will start transforming. And once that happens, what is it that actually we give to anybody? We actually give anybody only the consciousness that we have. Because everything is nothing but an offshoot of that consciousness. Whether if you see it as a feeling or a thought or an action, it is just an offshoot. So the purpose, at one time, another saint said, the purpose of life is to tune in to that divine consciousness and then manifest that divinity in your thoughts, words, and actions. So I will conclude with this, point here, that just, if we have to understand our divine origin, if we realize that we don't have to waste our time any further, then I think one fine day you will have to make this choice. How long I want to stay victimized by my own thoughts. And once you decide that and you stay determined that, okay, that's it. Nobody is making me suffer. It is my own mind and I am going to put an end to it. It will require a lot of power, but then that power will also come from the divine origin. And then you pray the Divine Mother, that the way we were praying today, that please help me to tune in to your reality. I am Om. Why would Yogananda said that read my Samadhi poem every day? Because this is what is our reality. How are we going to remember it? We are getting, we just, practice our limitation. That is why he was saying, don't watch yourself in the mirror too much. Just because that is how you see your image and you see, oh, this is who I am. So on a practical level, I think these are some of the pointers. And even in the Samadhi poem, he said, just look at, I mean, just some of these words, I flowing everywhere. He talks about the oceans, he talks about these galaxies. In fact, just feel that Om, when you feel Om in the Om vibration, and when you chant Om, and when you tune into those Om vibrations, when we practice Om technique, it's a beautiful technique to take us into expansion, to take us into that vibration of space. And Swami said, you will go so deep that you forget which is up, where is up and down, or where is left and right, because everything is space in that vibration, in that expansion. And in that Om reality, you can feel that these galaxies and stars are like the 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 embroidery, you may say, on the cloak that you're wearing. Because if it is all space, then everything, just like those brooks and mountains, everything, they are nothing but this is your body, and this is who you are. So let us close with at this point, and we will be doing an arti and praying to Divine Mother.